Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the long range with the Definitive Arms 308 VEPR AK that has their patented magazine well converter, which allows it to use standard PMAGs. So we're going to do a little bit of shooting with this rifle today, see how it performs. This is its first range session, and we have it configured pretty much for shooting 100-yard groups. Let's just start off on the front end of the rifle and talk a little bit about the features that this rifle has. Chase over at Definitive Arms has trued the face of this front sight block, moved it back a little bit, and given this rifle 5/8 by 24 threads, which are concentric to bore, which allows you to suppress the rifle. I've chosen to put an OSS suppressor on here because of its low back pressure. AKs sometimes don't respond well to being suppressed. You overgas them too much, and they start to have malfunctions. This OSS suppressor assures that I won't have overgassed malfunctions. Moving back from the front of the rifle towards the rear, we have the standard Definitive Arms parkerization, which is extremely durable. If you watch Iraq Veterans Meltdown video, he had a VEPR that Copper Custom supplied to him that was built by Chase. It had that finish applied, and even though the furniture burned off the rifle, the barrel was red hot and drooping. When the gun cooled, it still had that finish on the barrel, which I thought was pretty amazing. So we also have standard Magpul furniture on the rifle. One of the potential problems with this setup, though, it looks really sharp on the gun. However, it does clamp directly to the barrel. The VEPR has a very heavy barrel for an AK, so it may or may not affect accuracy. We'll figure that out today. As we come back, you'll notice that we have a Night Force 3-10 power scope on here, and it's mounted to the mount below it with Griffin Armament medium height rings. It is a 30mm tube, and then what it's mounted to, the scope rings themselves, are mounted to a Midwest Industries AK mount. You'll also notice I've taken this rear sight assembly out of the gun. This scope will set, it's a 44mm objective, I believe, but this scope will set perfectly with these medium height rings over the rear sight. However, if you watch slow motion video of AKs being fired, that rear sight bounces under recoil, and I've chosen to remove it because I don't want it peening or otherwise damaging the bottom of this Night Force scope. They're not inexpensive. Coming back over, talked about the finish and all that good stuff. Everything back here, the fire controls are fairly conventional. However, we do have the Definitive Arms magazine well, which allows the PMAGs, but it also allows this last round bolt hold open. So you'll notice that this bolt's locked to the rear. It also has a bolt release. I'm going to push the bolt release now, and that bolt goes home. So all the same features of their 5.56 guns have been carried over into this 308 rifle. So again, last round hold open, bolt release on the left-hand side of the receiver that you simply push up on, send another round home. Towards the rear of the rifle, we have a standard mullet pistol grip that's been stippled, and then we have the PRS Magpul stock that has the side folding mechanism in it. So you can adjust this for cheek comb height, and you can adjust for length of pull. It's a really nice setup. This gun, again, is really set up today to shoot about 100 yards because I have what's equivalent to a duplex reticle in here. I don't have mill holdovers. I will put a different scope on this rifle when I push it out to 1,000 yards, which is something I hope to do, assuming it performs well today. The ammunition that we're going to use, we have 3 different flavors of ammo today. We have, move this out of the way so I'm not hiding behind the gun for you guys. We have some Freedom Munitions 147 grain ball ammo. This is what we're using just to get the gun on paper. We have some Prime 175 grain match ammo. And we have some Federal Gold Medal Match 175 grain ammo. So this is the stuff we're going to shoot today to get the gun all set up. We're going to see how well it performs and what types of groups we can get out of it at 100 yards. And then in a follow-up video, we're going to stretch its legs a little bit when we have better weather and see if we can't get this baby out to 1,000 yards. So this should be a very interesting video, guys. Hope you guys stick around. Let's get started. Going to shoot a little bit of the 175 grain prime stuff. Now keep in mind, guys, that some guns like specific types of ammo. You may find that one gun shoots federal gold medal match really well, but another gun doesn't. You may find that one gun fires prime ammunition well and another gun doesn't. So you really have to try a bunch of different loads. That's why I come to the range with a couple of different flavors to kind of figure out what the gun's going to prefer. I did want to try some 168 grains, but I was kind of out of them. So all I have today are 2 different brands of 175. So let's go ahead and put some of the prime ammo downrange here really quick and take a look at some of these groups, which I'll show you here shortly. All right. Okay, I'm going to guess right around 1.5 inches or a little more. Load up 5 more rounds. Kind of seems that maybe the gun likes the federal gold medal match. It's a bit early to tell. They're both shooting it pretty well, but I've eked out some pretty decent groups with the federal. Notice the bolt's locked to the rear. I can either pull it back and let it go, or I can use the bolt release on the left-hand side of the rifle. Try one more group with the prime 175 grains. Good grief. I'm going to have to walk down range and check that one. What it looks like from here with a 10 power scope is it just put 5 rounds to the same hole. Right after putting down about a 1.5 inch or so group. It looks like one little cluster down there. We're just going to have to run down and check that one out. That's almost unbelievable. Huh. Let's go down and check it out. So this is 500 yards, guys. It's snowing down there, but I can make out that steel plate at 500. I'm just going to kind of hold off in space and guesstimate what my holdover should be with the reticle that I have. And I'm going to hold right for wind. We have pretty much the wind flags are sticking straight out. No. A lot more wind. I have to hold further right now because the wind picked up. There you go, guys. I dropped that first shot trying to guess my wind, but the wind is all over the place out there. But that is pretty cool. I mean, you can see the snow we have down range, but still just holding off in space and guessing for elevation and wind. I got 9 out of 10 rounds fired. That's a lot of fun. The snow's let up for a little bit, so we're gonna do a little bit of shooting at 200 yards because I can pretty much just hold at the top of the plate and still get a solid hit. You can see those wind flags out there. It's pretty windy. All right, here we go. It's 5 and 5 on each plate, man.
Money.
Yeah. It's always interesting to watch the discussions on the internet by folks talking about rifles like the AK and the AR and comparing them accuracy-wise, and people just generally saying that the AR is vastly more accurate than the AK. We proved again today, this afternoon, that the AK is more than capable of producing extremely good accuracy if the gun is built properly. Definitive Arms is definitely one of the best AK builders I've ever come across. I've been following their work for several years, and it's just been an amazing journey watching them start off with their magwell conversions to doing full-blown builds and doing accurization work. Now, the rifle that I have here is an accurized rifle, and what does that mean? Well, first of all, Chase has gone through and made sure that everything's true on the gun, stoned the rails and made them very smooth, checked, make sure that the bolt and lug engagement is perfect. He also cut back the barrel and recrowned it and basically did everything he could to make sure that the gun was true and had a good match grade crown on the end of the barrel, and that's how we achieved some of the groups that we saw this afternoon. Now, this is a brand new gun, and Chase did say it takes about 100 rounds for the gun to kind of settle in, the rivets to settle in, the guns to settle in, all that stuff, and that's pretty much what we saw. When we first got out here this afternoon, the groups were around the 2-inch size, and then they slowly started to drift down to 1-inch groups, and then we started seeing groups without user error being sub-MOA. I won't say that the gun will consistently shoot sub-MOA. That's a really tough statement to make because it's not just the gun, it's also the shooter. You know, a lot of folks will cherry pick groups and they'll get one group out of 100 that is just the tiniest group they've ever seen, and they'll say, see, my rifle, this is its typical accuracy. It does this over and over again, and that's generally not true. This rifle, I think, on average, with a regular shooter such as myself, is about a minute gun. But it did some incredible stuff this afternoon, guys. Now, the VEPR is different than other AKs on the market, and I've said for a long, long time that I think the VEPR is probably the best built AK on the market. And this rifle, as a base gun for Chase's Magic, certainly seems to hold true with that belief. This gun does have a 1.5 millimeter thick receiver. It's set up with a heavier trunnion, a heavier barrel than your standard AK, so the receiver's thicker. It has a heavier profile barrel. It is a cold hammer forged barrel that is chrome lined, but the guns are just built to much better standards, I believe, than the Izmash rifles and things like that. So the VEPR was a perfect platform for us to start building an accurate rifle out of. And let's take a look at some of the groups that the gun put down today. Now, the two match ammunition types that we had out here were, of course, the prime ammunition and the Federal Gold Medal match. I've shot Federal Gold Medal match for many, many years. I always used to joke that this stuff would shoot good out of a paper tube that you get, you know, after you empty your paper towel holder. I mean, it's just really, really good ammo that typically performs well in just about any rifle you put it in. Not always, but typically. And it put down the first best group this afternoon, but then we switched over to the prime. And both of these are 175 grain loads. We switched over to the prime, and the prime put down a group that Alex and I simply couldn't believe, the cameraman. It's unbelievable. So let's start off with what I think is probably typical accuracy of the gun, and then we'll kind of move over into some of the crazy stuff that it did. So here's some samples of groups. Both of these are 1.5-inch groups. 5-shot groups, 100 yards. These were shot with Federal and Prime, so about a 1.5-inch group for both, and we were using the numbers as aiming points on a 1,000-yard target. That's pretty good for an AK in and of itself. I wouldn't complain about that at all. But then we started to see the group size come down as we shot the gun more. Now this group is the freedom munition stuff that we use to get the gun zeroed. And then over here we have, this group was put down by Federal Gold Medal Match, and this one is 1 1/4 inch. And this one, another 1 1/4 inch. You'll notice that 4 rounds went through the same hole, and that very well could have been me. And why would I say something like that? You know, 2 1 1/4 inch groups, people always go, oh, that was a flyer, that was user error. And it very well could be, but a lot of people use that as an excuse. Well, really, you should look at the 4 here and not count this one. It counts if it's on paper. So I continued to shoot, and this time with the prime ammunition and not the Federal. Again, we've already seen the 1 1/2 inch groups, the 1 1/4 inch groups, and then we get this 5-shot 100-yard group that's 5/8 of an inch, less than 3/4 of an inch. That was done with the prime ammunition, this stuff. So the gun will consistently put down 1-inch groups, but occasionally when the stars align, a 5-shot group like that. Guys, that's just simply unbelievable accuracy out of an AK. I don't even know what to say. If I hadn't been here and seen it with my own eyes, Alex and I just looked at each other. I thought when I'm looking through the scope, it's a 2.5 power to 10 power. I think earlier in the video I said it's a 3 power. It's a 2.5 to 10 power. At 10 power magnification, I'm shooting this group. I'm aiming at the 8 right here, and I keep thinking, I only see 1 bullet hole. I started to think, well, maybe I'm screwing up and I'm aiming at the 7 or something, and I started to think that maybe the suppressor had come loose, which it can't because it torques itself more tightly. If you haven't watched my OSS suppressor video, you should. But I thought, this isn't possible. And then we walk down range and take a look at the target. Lo and behold, it's literally 5 rounds in the same hole. So, again, I'm not going to say that the gun is a half-minute gun or a 3/4 minute gun. Consistently, we see 1-inch groups, 1 1/4 inch groups regularly with the gun using match ammunition, but occasionally, and more than once, it pulled off some pretty incredible groups. So the rifles are something new from Definitive Arms. You'll know that they did the 5.56 magazine well conversions. We at Copper Custom approached Chase to do a 308 version of the mag well, and it's taken, I know I did a video on the gun well over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And you guys have been asking questions about it. What's the status? When's the gun going to be available? Well, it's available now, but in very limited quantities. The base rifles, we can still get our hands on, but it just takes time for Chase to build them. We did get 1 shipment in and then sold them. So we're just kind of waiting on more guns to come in. But the base rifle without the PRS stock, without the Magpul furniture, you're looking at $1,650. And yes, I know that's a lot of money, but it's a lot of custom work that goes into building the guns. Then you put whatever furniture you want on it. But I didn't expect it to shoot like this, guys. I was expecting 1 1/2 to 2 inch groups, which is typical AK accuracy. Some of my most accurate AKs really are not 1 inch groups, but 1 1/2 to 2 inch group guns. With all the magic work that Chase did to this thing, accurizing the barrel and making sure everything was true, it really helped the gun. And we were concerned about the handguard touching the barrel, which it does, and that doesn't seem to affect the accuracy of the gun at all. But keep in mind, I'm not really bearing down on the gun. I'm shooting in a soft rest, and it's rested kind of rear near the receiver, so I'm not pushing upwards on the barrel where I have the most leverage. I'm kind of resting the gun back here and pushing into it back here, which kind of keeps me from pressing on the barrel. But consistency is what accuracy is derived from, and it seems that this gun is extremely consistent if the shooter is consistent. So I've been blown away by it today. Again, I did not expect it to do what it's doing. Now we're going to take the rifle out, and we're going to put a different scope on it, get it set up for 1,000-yard shooting, and we're going to start walking this rifle out when we have some better weather. Today we have a bunch of snow out there, and we can't even see 1,000 yards. We can see maybe to 500, but we can't see well enough to get a good sight picture to really shoot for groups. But I want to use a different scope that has a 34mm tube that's going to give us enough elevation to make sure that we can get the scope dialed in and we have enough holdover capabilities with the scope to actually get that shot at 1,000 yards, because basically you're aiming 40 feet over the target with a 308 at 1,000 yards. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I know I certainly did. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, you can ask those questions down below. We do stick around for the first couple of days to answer the questions you guys may have. Also, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, you can do that by swinging by and checking out Copper Custom. And if you haven't already, please swing by and check out Full 30. That's full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators and brought them under one roof and that is full30.com. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all those years of support, and we'll see you guys soon.